The tools that I chose to look into were the magnifier as well as something called a snipping tool. So the first one for the magnifier, if you go down to the start button in your computer and then you click on all programs, what comes up is if you scroll down, for me at least, because I have a lot of other programs, you have to open up a folder called accessories. And in that folder, there's another folder called ease of access. And when you open up that folder, you see a bunch of tools for ease of access. There's the magnifier as well as narrator and on-screen keyboard. So if you click on the magnifier, once I've clicked on the magnifier, it actually does come up for me once I hit start at the bottom. Oops. So now I have magnifier down here at the bottom where I can just access it easily. What's nice about the magnifier is that when I'm working on the computer, I was anticipating that I could use this in class. So very often I create Google documents where students are working on them. So if I go to my Google Classroom for my modern European history, you can see that there are two documents that they have to look at. And what the magnifier does, if I hover over the documents, it provides a zoomed-in view at the top of the screen. And I was thinking this could be helpful not only for students with, visual impairments, but also for teachers and educators when you're projecting information on a smart board and you want to zoom in on something below. This magnifier feature would be a great way for students to read something, if the font is too small as it's being projected on the screen. So the magnifier could be used in both those aspects, for students as well as for teachers and for whole class instruction. I chose this one because I thought that it would be very beneficial for students, especially as a social studies teacher. I'm very frequently having students analyze documents, and they might want to zoom in on documents sometimes, or zoom in on a caption or a part of a political cartoon. I think that this works extremely well. It's very easy, to access and very easy to use. So I think that, students with, various needs could use this. The other tool that I chose is something called a snipping tool. And I've used the snipping tool myself when I've done presentations for grad school, when I want to email people information, but I don't want to do a screenshot because it's just too busy and I want them to look at something specific. So if you open up the snipping tool, which for me is in my start, or if you go to the search bar, you can type in snipping tool and it will come up. If you open up snipping tool, over here it gives you a bar where if you click on new, you actually have some choices. You can create one that is a rectangle, you can do a window, you can do a full screen shot, you can make your own shape if you want to use your mouse to create a circle, but I generally use the rectangular snip. It's the cleanest one, I like it the most. So then if you just hit new, your screen then kind of gets all shaded and you can choose, I'm just going to close the magnifier, you can choose what it is that you want to highlight. Sorry, so here's my snipping tool. I hit new, the screen gets shaded, and now whatever becomes highlighted in this box is what's going to be in the snipping tool. So for me, when I've used this, for example, when my students went on a Washington, D.C. junior class trip, and some students went on the trip and some students didn't. So I created this Google Doc where students who went to Washington, D.C. were explaining the things that they saw and things that they learned from their tour guide, and then students who were staying in New Fairfield went on a virtual field trip and were presenting information that they learned. So I was trying to show this activity to my department and how I did this, and I used a snipping tool to do this. One of the nice features about snipping tool is that it also, if you don't have a smartboard, it has features that emulate a smartboard, which are very useful. So now if I go to new, and let's say that I want to show my social studies department just this part of the chart, or if I wanted to just go over just the directions. So whatever gets highlighted in this box is what everyone else is going to be able to see. Now once I've done this, it opens up in a new window. And in this window, if you look at the top here, I can mark on this. So if I want to mark this up in red pen, I can, circle things, and I can add comments. I can erase them. And again, it has a lot of the features that, smartboards have. So if you don't have access to a smartboard, this gives you a great way, especially as a teaching tool in front of the class, to, you know, take a little snip of something you might be working on as a class, mark it up together. You can also save it, and then you can email this, you know, to students who maybe are absent. You could, for myself, I could put it up on Google Classroom so that people know exactly what we did in class and how we went over the directions, or, you know, different instructional strategies. So those are two new pieces of technology that I'm very excited to use myself, and also to, you know, hopefully invite my students to use to address their various needs.